He was carried back from the battlefield. The imperial physicians shook their heads in unison, powerless against the poison afflicting the general. I refused to accept fate and sought out an immortal on Mount Taiching to intervene. He finally awoke. The first words he spoke upon opening his eyes were, "The border medic saved my life. I must marry her." I froze. What about me? My husband seemed to snap out of it then. You shall be his co-wife. That day, I became the laughingstock of Chongling. The rumor spread through every street and alley. The general's wife had saved his life by prostrating herself 1,000 times. Yet the first thing he did upon waking was order her to be made his wife. The next day, Li Changyuan brought back that woman. She wore plain robes, yet her features were strikingly beautiful. The moment she saw me, she smiled. "Sister," she said, "I truly didn't want this, but I couldn't go against the general's wishes. I'm afraid you'll have to endure this hardship. See? Even this outsider knows I'm the one being wronged." I looked at Li Changyuan. His face was calm, his eyes fixed only on that healer. After a long silence, Li Changyuan addressed me. "Ronger has just returned to the estate and knows nothing of these matters. Prepare yourself. Choose an auspicious hour to welcome Ronger into the household." Fu Ronger also curtsied to me. "I trouble you, sister." Li Changyuan seized her hand, his brow furrowing in displeasure. "You are soon to be my wife. There is no need to bow to her." I stared blankly at the man before me. But just moments ago, everything was fine. When I saw him off to the battlefield last time, his eyes had been filled with tenderness as he told me, "Wait for me to return, and we'll have a child." Now, the coldness in Li Changyuan's gaze made me feel as if I were in a dream, or had mistaken him for someone else. He left, taking Fu Ronger with him. I was left in a daze. Sai Huan brought me medicine, hesitating. "Madam, I heard from the servants that the new woman has some kind of elixir. The one His Majesty has been searching for." She paused, stealing a glance at me. What if the general was just putting on a show? A mere game. Did it need to begin before Fu Ronger even entered the estate? Night had not yet fallen. He summoned me, as expected. By the time I composed myself and arrived, Fu Ronger was nestled in his embrace, her tone tinged with playful reproach. "You stubborn man. I told you there was no need to trouble my sister." "I'm not being difficult." Li Changyuan's brow furrowed involuntarily at my entrance. He spoke, "Since we've agreed, you as secondary wife, Ronger as primary, then pack your things. Vacate Zhuyun Hall within 3 days." Zhuyun Hall. The main residence of the general's mansion. It symbolized the position of the general's primary wife. He looked up at me. "Do you understand?" I gazed at him for a long moment. "I understand, Li Changyuan." He stiffened for an instant before quickly regaining his composure. "Have you forgotten all propriety and etiquette?" Fu Ronger pressed her lips together, her voice tinged with sorrow. "Forget it, Li Lang." Li Changyuan's frown deepened. "It will be emptied tomorrow. It's just a few things anyway." Fu Ronger reached out to pull him. As their garments brushed against each other, the South Sea pearl bracelet in Fu Ronger's embrace suddenly fell to the floor. Li Changyuan's reflexes were swift. He immediately picked it up, but I had already seen it clearly. It was my mother's heirloom, pawned when I raised funds for his military expenses. What had he said back then? His face filled with remorse as he embraced me, saying, "Wait for me. When the army returns, I will redeem my mother-in-law's keepsake. For Li Changyuan's future. For the army to have food." I had no choice but to wait. But I waited 3 years, only to see Li Changyuan order another woman to be his wife. How utterly ridiculous. "Li Changyuan, let's divorce." "What did you say?" Li Changyuan froze for a second, then shot to his feet, his face darkening. Say that again, and I'll have you thrown out of the general's residence. This matter is non-negotiable. If you don't want to be left with nowhere to go, hand over Zuyintang immediately." With that, he flung his sleeve hard across my face. Fu Ronger stood there, smiling. "Sister, there's no need to be so hasty. The general merely wants to give me the best, though he may have overreacted. I will counsel him. That night, the news spread throughout the mansion. The general called for water 3 times during the night. As the maids packed my belongings, darkness engulfed my vision, and I lost consciousness. When I awoke again, the physician had just released my hand, shaking his head with a sigh. Madam, your root energy was damaged at Tai Ching Mountain. Extreme grief or joy may trigger your old ailment. Just then, Li Changyuan burst in, his face darkening the moment he entered. How could you be so consumed by jealousy that you resort to such despicable tactics as feigning illness? How can you be so consumed by jealousy? Have you even resorted to such despicable tactics as feigning illness? He glanced at the elderly physician in the room and sneered coldly. I thought you were a sensible woman. The title of principal wife is but an empty name. Making such a scene, is this amusing to you? Saihuan couldn't help but interject, General, the lady previously went to Mount Tai Ching. Enough! His interruption cut her off. Kneeling and bowing is something anyone can do. Romer personally sucked the poisoned blood from me, nearly losing her life in the process. How can you compare yourselves to her? All words were instantly choked back. Saihuan's face turned deathly pale. Her eyes instantly reddened. Li Changyuan grew impatient, turning to me. Don't act like petty commoners. My heart grew cold. I slowly lowered my head. I understand. Li Changyuan seemed satisfied. He nodded and left. The old physician looked at me, words on the tip of his tongue, his gaze filled with pity. The former mistress of the general's residence had fallen ill. Yet it did not dampen the joy within the mansion. Red silk banners hung everywhere, lanterns and decorations adorned the halls. Suddenly I remembered 2 years ago, when I married Li Changyuan, the general's residence didn't even exist yet. He was a minor military officer, while my father was the general of the realm. Overwhelmed by marrying the general's daughter, his body trembled with excitement. He said, I will never betray you in this lifetime. Yes. I still have my father. I returned to my room, wrote a letter, and sent it back to the mansion. That very afternoon, a maid brought back a reply from the Wen residence. Father wrote in the letter, a man having multiple wives and concubines has been the norm since ancient times. Make no fuss. Li Changyuan presented the divine elixir to His Majesty. He is no longer the man he once was. He is now deeply favored by the emperor. Make no fuss, make no fuss. Don't make a fuss. Father repeated it 3 times. I suddenly laughed out loud. I had been mistaken. Not only was the general's residence no longer my home, but the Wen residence was no longer mine either. As soon as I could walk again, I immediately wrote the words divorce petition in my own hand on paper. When Li Changyuan saw the divorce papers, he gritted his teeth. You want to divorce me? Before I could speak, he pressed further. Does your Wen family know? If you divorce me, will the Wen family still want you? His words struck my Achilles heel. Seeing my expression change, Li Changyuan's tone softened slightly, as if trying to persuade me. No matter how much you protest, it won't change the outcome. You might as well try getting along with her, Ronger. She's always been magnanimous. Even as the new mistress, she won't make things difficult for you. Don't be afraid. I stared fixedly at Li Changyuan's face. Something deep within me gradually faded away. Li Changyuan. He was no longer the husband I had longed for. General Li was about to marry. His new bride was not only kind-hearted but possessed unique medical skills. Even the emperor recognized her talent. The entire Chongling was abuzz with talk, and Fu Ronger became the most sought-after lady. The day before the wedding, Fu Ronger came calling. 4 maids followed her, her presence commanding. When I emerged, she had already seated herself at the head of the room. Seeing me, she slowly set down her teacup. Sister, she said, tomorrow is my wedding to the general. As my co-wife, you ought to offer me tea. Saihuan immediately protested, how dare you humiliate my mistress like this? How insolent! Before she could finish, The maid beside her suddenly moved, slapping Saihuan twice across the face right before my eyes. I recognized this maid. She had once been a female soldier under Li Changyuan. Fu Rong'er chuckled softly. What's all this about? I merely hope my sister understands. This vast general's mansion is too much for me to manage alone. As the former mistress, you ought to lend a hand, leading by example is the way. With that, she set down her teacup. The female soldier beside her immediately understood, taking the cup and offering it to me. Fu Rong'er gazed at me, a faint smile playing on her lips. Sister, it's just a little hardship. These traditions are passed down from our ancestors. I do this for the estate's stability. The maid held the cup before me, her tone unwavering. Please accept this tea, madam. I silently reached out to take it. Saihuan began to cry. Madam! Madam! You can't accept it. How can they be so cruel? The next moment, the scalding teacup smashed directly into Fu Rong'er's face. Fu Rong'er shrieked. The female soldier lunged at me instantly. How dare you! I kicked out. Right in the solar plexus. The soldier stumbled back 2 steps, stunned. You know martial arts? I sneered. Who told you I'm just a reclusive lady of the manor? I turned to Fu Rong'er. This tea offering is clearly impossible now. Have Li Changyuan come here to sign the divorce papers. Fu Rong'er, her face splattered with tea, fumed, the general will come and punish you. No sooner had she spoken. Li Changyuan had already stepped inside. His face was ashen. When you truly can't stay quiet for a single day. Fu Rong'er's eyes reddened. She scurried over. Li Lang. It's my incompetence that ruined everything. Li Changyuan wrapped his arms around her. He patted her back soothingly. His expression hardened. Are you certain you wish to cause this commotion? His eyes narrowed, the slender irises filled with icy coldness. I drew a deep breath. Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I said, let's divorce. I won't offer her the tea. Li Changyuan flung his sleeve aside. Humph. Utterly ridiculous. I produced the second divorce document. Without even glancing at it, he splashed a full cup of tea across the page. Ink bled across the paper. Fu Rong'er bit her lip in humiliation. Li Lang, it seems my sister truly refuses to let me enter your household. Li Changyuan patted her hand. It matters not. The family registry has been altered. You are my wife. He turned back to me. Attendants, escort lady went back to her quarters. Reason was futile. Persuasion was useless. I asked myself, was this general's mansion truly still my home? Clearly, it was not. Then only one path remained. Saihuan couldn't help asking, Madam, are we really packing? I glanced around the courtyard I'd lived in for 3 years and nodded. Pack up the gold and silver, the valuables. Double-check the deeds and store them carefully, no mistakes. I added, from today onward, I will no longer concern myself with any expenses of the general's mansion. Saihuan seethed with indignation. Fine. Let that new mistress deal with the headache. Let's see if she can plug the massive hole in the general's residence. Li Changyuan rose from the rank of captain of the guard. He had no family fortune to speak of. In the leanest times, he couldn't even allocate the soldiers' pay. It was I who pawned my mother's heirlooms to scrape together enough provisions for the troops. These past years, I've worked tirelessly to manage the shops, barely keeping the household afloat. How laughable. I've been sewing a wedding gown for someone else. All the bulky items were taken out of the mansion by Saihuan and exchanged for banknotes. The sheer amount made Saihuan's lips tremble. Madam, what are we doing? I counted the banknotes 3 times. I pulled her along. Let's go. We arrived at the prefectural office. My drumbeat grew frantic. The surrounding citizens gathered round. The prefect grew impatient. Who dares strike the drum? Seeing it was me, his expression changed. Is that General Li's? Mid-sentence, he halted, seemingly realizing the title former wife was inappropriate. I curtsied. Your Honor, I've come to divorce my husband." The words fell, and the magistrate's expression shifted instantly. "Madam Li, surely you jest? Striking this drum of righteous grievance warrants 30 lashes. Withdraw now, and I'll dismiss this as a mistaken strike." I stood firm, spine straight. "You need not address me as Madam Li. My name is Wen Yu. I have come to divorce my husband." The crowd gasped. According to our dynasty's laws, divorcing one's husband warrants 50 lashes. Striking the drum to demand divorce, does she wish to die? The magistrate's face darkened, and he immediately signaled to his clerk. The clerk nodded and departed. The people's cries grew louder. "I know! Not long ago, this lady went to Mount Taiching to seek the immortals' help in saving General Li. But the general has just awakened and is about to take a new bride. That's the rumor spreading through Chongling. She's marrying a wife, not taking a concubine. So what if she's been demoted? Since ancient times, men have been the sky. General Li didn't divorce her, yet she wants to divorce him? She truly doesn't know her place. Bah! What nonsense are you spouting? Would you consent if your wife took another husband? She dares? I'd beat her to death. I must say, this Miss Wen is a woman of great courage. If a man truly disgraces her, it would bring shame upon her entire family." Amidst the heated debate, the prefect had no choice but to finally admit me into the Jingzhou prefecture. "Bring forth the instruments of punishment." The prefect pleaded once more. "Lady Li, have you considered this? The boards here are made of ironwood. A blow from them is no trifling matter." I silently lowered myself onto the torture device. The sight was truly gruesome. Sai Huan wailed, "Madam, madam, don't strike my mistress. Strike me instead." A rod came down. A dull thud echoed as my fingernails dug into the wooden bench. The magistrate rushed forward. "Madam Li, if you leave now, I might still." I closed my eyes, clenched my teeth, and urged the executioner onward. "I demand a divorce." The magistrate sighed. The rod continued its descent. Blow after blow, my clothes quickly soaked through with blood. Cold sweat trickled down my face. "Please, please! Hit her lighter! I beg you!" Sai Huan knelt, weeping, her forehead pounding the ground in repeated blows. My nails dug until they bled, yet my mind grew sharper. 80 strokes, 50 left. "Your Honor, carry out the punishment." The crowd couldn't bear it. They joined in pleading. "We saw it, truly saw it, 50 strokes completed, only 30 left." "No, no, 20 strokes, magistrate." I could no longer tell where the pain originated. I couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Sai Huan sobbed breathlessly, carefully supporting me. I looked toward the dais. "Your Honor, the divorce decree." Among the onlookers, some eyes glistened. Even now she hasn't forgotten to demand the divorce decree? What immense injustice has she suffered? I wanted to reach for it. But my strength was gone. Sai Huan, weeping, took the decree for me. Upon it was the official seal of the magistrate's office. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then, a furious shout came from the doorway. "Wen Yu, how dare you!" Li Changyuan rushed in. Seeing me covered in blood, he froze. His brows furrowed. "You'd rather suffer these injuries than reconcile with me?" I pressed my entire weight onto Sai Huan, each breath a stab of pain. "This humble woman greets General Li." Hearing my address, Li Changyuan's displeasure was palpable. His face darkened like storm clouds as he turned to the prefect. "Your Honor, my wife lacks understanding of propriety and protocol. She has caused a disturbance. I shall take her back immediately for proper care." One sentence. He had just nullified the outcome I'd earned through punishment. I stumbled backward, the movement tearing at my wounds and sending tears streaming down my face. "Li Changyuan, I have already divorced you. You cannot touch me." Li Changyuan waved his hand impatiently. In the next instant, guards from the general's residence closed in around me. He dared to disregard propriety and forcibly seize me. The onlookers gasped. As if deaf to their cries, he placed a knife against Sai Huan's throat himself. This insolent servant dared incite his master to leave the residence. He deserves death. Li Changyuan! I cried out in terror. A smile played on Li Changyuan's lips. Will you return home with me? I bit my lip. My whole body trembled. I had barely escaped from there. Sai Huan cried out, Miss, don't agree to him. Li Changyuan lost patience, raising his long sword. At the critical moment, a silver needle struck the blade. Li Changyuan's sword clattered to the ground. He whipped around, roaring, Who dares meddle in the affairs of my general's residence? Outside the magistrate's office, a man's voice, cold and unmatched, drew nearer from the distance. General Li, what a display of might. His tone carried authority without anger. The surrounding citizens instinctively parted to make a path. A man clad in Taoist robes approached at a leisurely pace, radiating an ethereal, otherworldly aura. Seeing my pitiful state, he slightly furrowed his brow. Li Changyuan roared furiously, Who are you? Playing tricks? Do you not fear this official putting you to death? The man stood with his hands behind his back, several silver needles flying from his fingers. Snap, snap, snap. Several sounds. The guards' long swords were knocked from their hands. He extended his hand toward me. Come. Sai Huan seized this lifeline, supporting my body as she rushed toward the man. Li Changyuan's fury boiled over. Stop! Who gave you the audacity? He lunged to grab me. A silver needle shot straight toward him. Li Changyuan recoiled in shock. How dare you lay a hand on an imperial official? A female soldier by his side leaned in. General, a man and a woman. Why would they risk their lives to save us? Could it be? Silence! Li Changyuan cut her off. His expression shifted several times. He decisively produced his official token. Prefect, I command you to order your officers to assist us. This. The prefect hesitated. But Li Changyuan was currently in the emperor's favor. Rumors swirled that Li Changyuan would be promoted soon. Who dared disobey? The prefect gritted his teeth. Men. Officers, obey orders. Just then, Sai Huan finally helped me reach the man. For some reason, my nose stung. Chin Yi. Before I could finish, a pill was placed in my mouth. His voice was steady and reassuring. For some reason, all the chaotic thoughts in my heart suddenly calmed. Inside the prefectural office, footsteps grew dense. A group of people surrounded us. Li Changyuan pointed his sword in my direction. When you come back, I promise you, I won't pursue your actions today. As for you, Li Changyuan pointed the tip of his sword at the man, narrowing his eyes. Seize him! A silver flash erupted. The constables and guards suddenly collapsed to the ground, wailing in agony. Li Changyuan's face turned ashen. A cry of shock rose from the crowd. It's true immortal Chin Yi. That's true immortal Chin Yi. I've seen him. He's a true immortal. He even saved my mother. No official, no matter how high, can strike immortal Chin Yi. He's a living Buddha. The onlookers shouted. With the guards incapacitated, the crowd surged in chaotically. The scene spiraled out of control. My eyes rolled back, darkness engulfing my vision. I collapsed into an embrace heavy with the scent of incense. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I saw was the man's back. He turned to look at me. You're surprisingly resilient. I instinctively thanked him. But Chin Yi stepped forward, towering over me. I warned you when you saved him. Now, do you regret it? I froze. But Li Changyuan's impatient words echoed in my mind, it's just kowtowing. Anyone can do that. I trembled as I lifted my head. I regret it. Can the true immortal take it back? Chin Yi fell silent for a long moment before giving Kai Huan a complex order. From now on, no storybooks are to appear in your master's chambers. After recuperating on the mountain for several days, my injuries gradually healed. I quietly asked Kai Huan how he had managed to escape that day. Kai Huan shook her head vigorously. The true master produced a token, and they let us go. A token? What kind of token could make the arrogant Li Changyuan bow his head? I fell silent. Suddenly, a young attendant arrived with news. Someone was seeking me in the hall. Sai Huan gripped my hand nervously. Miss, if they found their way here. Could it be them? I patted her reassuringly. Don't worry. Li Changyuan held immense power now. If they really came looking, I shouldn't burden Chinesian. Such an otherworldly being, I'm already eternally grateful he saved me once. We reached the main hall. Sure enough, a woman in red stood there. Fu Ronger covered her mouth in shock upon seeing me. Sister, your injuries are so severe. Her eyes misted over. She reached out to pull me toward her, but the sudden force sent a sharp pain through my healing wounds. I stepped back to avoid her grasp. Confused, she pleaded, Sister, please stop clashing with the general. Come back with me. I've already assured the general he won't hold you accountable, she continued. As long as you serve your mother-in-law well and manage the household properly, you'll still have your place by the general's side. She tugged at the corners of her mouth. Her expression was utterly kind. But her words meant something else entirely. I understood. She was saying I should return and not interfere with their affection. Once Li Changyuan went off to war, I could then work like a beast of burden to earn money for the general's household. Brilliant. I nearly laughed out loud. The good life at the general's residence? You can enjoy it all by yourself. You truly won't return? I shook my head firmly. Fu Ronger reached out. Then hand back all the shops belonging to the general's residence. I didn't understand. Her face radiated confidence. Those shops you took belong to the general's residence. Since you won't return, just give them back. Fu Ronger clapped her hands. Outside the main hall, 2 female soldiers I recognized stepped forward. Fu Ronger wore a look of pure satisfaction. I've never harbored ill will toward my sister. If she doesn't wish to remain in the general's mansion, I won't force her. But taking things from my estate, that's where you've crossed the line. I was both shocked and furious. Those were my dowry items. Are you trying to seize them by force? How utterly shameless. My sister leveraged the general's mansion's influence to run her shop, yet now that we've fallen out, she denies any connection. By any fair standard, this shop should rightfully belong to the general's mansion. As her words fell, several female soldiers closed in on me. I said nothing more, enduring the pain in my body as I engaged them in combat. Unarmed, I tore silk brocade from the palace walls to wield as weapons, whirling them in a dense, impenetrable shield while seizing openings to knock their arms aside. After a grueling struggle, I finally overpowered them. In the rear chamber, a man approached at a measured pace, his expression serene, his movements remarkably agile. Outside the window, sparse sunlight filtered through. It bathed the man in a golden glow. My heart sank. I managed to speak hoarsely, Master Chenyi, I've troubled you again. Master Chenyi smiled, neither confirming nor denying. Fu Ronger's expression, however, clearly grew guarded. Hesitating for a moment, I stepped back. I only wish to retrieve what belongs to my estate. Chenyi raised his eyes. After a divorce, the dowry must remain with the husband's family. Who established this rule? Did you set it for the emperor? Fu Ronger's expression shifted several times. She dared not respond to this remark. A female soldier scrambled to her feet. She charged fiercely toward my body. Sai Huan warned me to be careful. But momentum carried me, and I was already hurled violently backward. The next instant, my body was caught by an unexpected presence. My eyes were blinded by the dazzling yellow robe. A shrill voice pierced from outside the hall. His Majesty has arrived, General Li has arrived, the hall filled with kneeling figures. Behind the emperor, Li Changyuan pointed angrily. How dare you? I scrambled to dismount. But Chenyi blocked my path. From the side, I saw his jaw clenched tight. His body shielded my face, separating me from the emperor. Li Changyuan thundered, how dare you not kneel before His Majesty? No one spoke. My nerves tightened. The emperor was no ordinary mortal. Though Chen Yi enjoyed great renown, pursuing the matter could still spell trouble. And that earlier incident. If I were truly labeled an assassin, I'd have no defense. Chen Yi merely furrowed his brow. Your Majesty, he said, your complexion looks poor. Have you been consuming something unsuitable lately? At these words, everyone behind His Majesty knelt in unison. Fu Ronger sneered, nonsense. I took His Majesty's pulse just now, he is perfectly healthy. I am a renowned physician acknowledged by all soldiers at the frontier. You, a mere Taoist priest, dare not spread such heretical nonsense. Unexpectedly, the emperor did not respond. He turned his gaze toward me, his expression intrigued. I hear it was you who divorced this emperor's general? I nodded at his words. Yes, it was this humble maiden who divorced her husband. But it was done according to the laws of our dynasty, with the punishment of caning administered. The divorce decree bears the imperial seal. Oh. General Li has distinguished himself in repelling enemies at the frontier. Why would you divorce him? Hearing this, I straightened my back. I bowed deeply. Li Changyuan demoted his wife to a concubine. Before our marriage, I was a young lady from a respectable family. I cannot endure such humiliation. A flicker of panic crossed Li Changyuan's face. Do not speak nonsense. I promised you the position of equal wife, how dare you degrade me to a concubine? The emperor's gaze swept over Li Changyuan. He reluctantly fell silent. I bowed deeply once more. This humble maiden has prostrated herself 1,000 times, begging the true man to save Li Changyuan. But Li Changyuan said anyone could prostrate themselves. This humble maiden refuses to be a pawn in another's game, so I begged General Li for a divorce. Unexpectedly, General Li refused, leaving me no choice but this desperate measure, to divorce him. I paused. Then continued. What I never anticipated was that after the divorce, General Li refused to accept it. He publicly denied the divorce decree and even ordered his household to seize my dowry. Having won the emperor's favor today, I humbly beseech your majesty, should I ever meet with misfortune, may all my dowry be surrendered to the imperial treasury. As her words fell, the officials behind the emperor erupted. Whispering murmurs escaped their lips. Even in death, she must settle her affairs? What exactly did General Li do? How utterly shameless! How can one be so greedy? Does General Li truly believe his achievements entitle him to this? Li Changyuan's face flushed crimson. You venomous woman, cease your nonsense. He rushed forward and knelt. Your Majesty, witness this truth, such claims are utterly false. At that moment, Chen Yi spoke. Your Majesty, I witnessed it. Li Changyuan spun in fury. You and this venomous woman are clearly in cahoots. You rescued her and now perjure yourself, your treachery deserves death. I am this dynasty's grand general. Do you wish the emperor to punish me, leaving him without capable men? The words were nothing short of a dagger to the heart. Li Changyuan trampled Chen Yi mercilessly. I hastily prostrated myself. Your Majesty, the people of Chongling all know what this humble woman has said. Your Majesty may. Silence! Li Changyuan barked at me. His eyes flashed crimson. Your Majesty, this servant did not. Chen Yi remained silent. The emperor, however, seemed amused, stroking his chin. My minister implies that the true immortal Chen Yi committed perjury? Li Changyuan, aware of Chen Yi standing among the people, bowed his head. Your servant has committed no wrongdoing. The emperor chuckled. What say you, my brother? Chen Yi nodded. As my elder brother commands. Silence fell over the hall. Who in the realm didn't know the current sovereign had only one full brother? Yet none had ever heard of him. The realm had long assumed he was gone. Now, His Majesty actually called Chen Yi his younger brother? Li Changyuan felt as if he might collapse. The emperor's brother, the famed immortal Chen Yi, the reclusive sage known to all under heaven. How could he conspire with a divorced woman to frame someone? Who would believe such a thing? Demoting a wife to a concubine, coveting her dowry, these matters could be considered minor or major. But the most crucial point was this. Li Changyuan had been proven to disregard the law, forcibly denying the divorce decree bearing the imperial seal. Cold sweat broke out on his face. "Your Majesty, this servant knows." His words trailed off. A woman's voice cut in. "Your Majesty." Fu Rong'er held a box aloft, revealing a crimson pill suspended above her head. "Your Majesty, General Li commanded this servant to refine this. I've long wished to present it. Today is the perfect opportunity." She gazed earnestly at the emperor. "Your Majesty, you've taken this divine pill before. Its effects. You know them best." The implication was clear. Presenting the divine pill was a service. "Exonerate Li Changyuan." Li Changyuan exhaled in relief, his gaze toward Fu Rong'er brimming with gratitude. "I proceeded cautiously, Your Majesty. I assumed the shop belonged to the general's estate, so She was taking responsibility." Qin Yi paced over. He pinched the elixir between his index and ring fingers, narrowing his eyes. "Deadly poison." One sentence. Every face in the room paled. Fu Rong'er was the most flustered. You're talking nonsense. This is my family's ancestral formula. His Majesty has taken it before." He was as lively as a dragon after it. The emperor's expression shifted. "Poison?" Qin Yi frowned. I immediately understood and fetched a live chicken from outside. If Qin Yi said it was poisonous, it must be poisonous. The fact that His Majesty hadn't died after eating it only meant the dose was small. Sure enough, Qin Yi pinched the chicken's neck and shoved the pill down its throat. The chicken flapped twice before dropping dead. Instantly, the grand hall was surrounded by the imperial guards. Li Changyuan panicked. His face drained of color. How could this happen? Impossible. Your Majesty, you've taken Ronger's pills before, how could they be poisoned? He made a desperate last stand. I seized the moment, wrenching the chicken's neck clean off. The pill hadn't dissolved yet. I retrieved it. Bloodied, I handed it to him. General Li, you may take it as proof. Li Changyuan froze, his mouth agape in disbelief. My hands moved faster than my eyes could follow, shoving the pill straight into his mouth. Li Changyuan frantically gagged. In full view of everyone, he vomited all over the floor. Some of his henchmen couldn't bear to watch and shouted at me, "How dare you!" The emperor's face had turned dark. "Guards! Immediately!" Li Changyuan's followers knelt in a heap. Your Majesty, General Li must defend the frontier. Offering the elixir was surely unintentional. Li Changyuan kowtowed repeatedly. Fu Rong'er panicked. My elixir is divine medicine. Collected by Your Majesty himself. It's not poison. Not poison. The emperor roared with fury. Seize them at once. The followers knelt in a heap, pleading for Li Changyuan's life. The next instant, the kneeling man suddenly collapsed forward. His expression twisted as he coughed up a mouthful of black blood. His entire body went limp. He looked up blankly. How could this happen? The emperor's expression darkened. He immediately ordered both men to be detained and subjected to rigorous interrogation by the Supreme Court. He then entered the rear palace with Qin Yi. Concerned about his own health, he asked Qin Yi to find a way to restore his vitality. This incident also terrified Kai Huan. We stayed in the side chambers of the rear palace, rarely venturing out except when absolutely necessary. Only after the emperor had recovered did he depart with his entourage. Qin Yi pushed open my chamber door. Aren't you curious about Li Changyuan's fate? I shook my head. With our general detained, the frontier has no protector. He paused before adding, you don't want General Wen to lead the campaign? I hesitated. Our dynasty has always been lenient toward women serving in the military. I wonder if I could. Qin Yi frowned. Are you certain? I asked again, is it possible? I never sought to be second only to the emperor, above all others. I only wished to gain the ability to protect myself in the future. Not relying on the Wen family, not relying on my husband's family, but relying solely on myself. Qin Yi flung his sleeve. I won't help you. Indeed. We met by chance. Except for my 1,000 bows, it was always Chini who stepped in to aid me. We owe each other deeply. After some thought, I spoke up. I'll enlist in the army. Chini turned and walked away. He refused to see me. On the day I descended the mountain, my bundle mysteriously contained several bottles and jars. Inscribed on them were instructions for various medicinal uses. I turned back and bowed once to Mount Taiching. On the day of departure. It coincided with Li Changyuan's exile. He was completely paralyzed, Fu Ronger sobbing as she pushed him along in a cart. She cursed as she pushed. Li Changyuan couldn't utter a single word. Sai Huan pulled my sleeve in shock. Miss. That elixir was rather vicious, wasn't it? Just one pill turned him into a cripple? I stared at the receding procession. After a long silence, that wasn't the elixir's poison. Then what was it? Sai Huan asked blankly. I've seen this toxicity before. It's the same poison that struck Li Changyuan when he was carried back to Chongling. So, Chini succeeded after all. He made Li Changyuan's poison relapse. Faintly, I heard a woman's wails and curses from the exile convoy. What poison did you take? What antidote can I bring? Wah. Cripple. Sai Huan tugged at my sleeve again. Miss, they're gathering over there. Coming. I spurred my horse forward. From that moment, our paths diverged. Never to cross again. The end.